tutorial we are going to look at adding captions to pictures and images and putting a dateline on the front page, and we will also tidy up the the cutout image we started to lay out. So I'm going to go back into Mag Layout, and this was where we left things. So on the front page, which I'm going to go to first, I'm going to zoom in, my zoom tool from the left hand menu, and click until I've got quite close up, and then I'm going to draw a text box to put a dateline in. So all I do is draw a text box as usual on my T tool. I'm going to take it across the whole width of the page. Well, I'm just going to write in it first. I'm going to write February 2017. I'm going to Control A, highlight that. I might want to make that slightly bigger, push it up to 14 points. I also want to change the colour of it to white, so I'm going to go to this box up here, or I could go to my swatches on the side. And I want to change it to Helvetica, which is a clearer font to see. And I'm also, if I go to Helvetica, I can go to that drop down menu and there will be bold. There's also oblique, which is italic, but I'm going to click bold, and I've put it in white, and that is the dateline. Now I might think if I go Control 0 and get a zoom out, I think that's probably a bit big, so I'm going to highlight the copy and take it back down to 12. I also need to put a price in, so I'm going to put £4.50 in, and I can put this wherever. I can leave it straight after the dateline there, or if I wanted I could stretch the text box all the way across the page and click in it just before the pound sign and tab all the way across the page. I can have it like that. So I have my dateline here and my price here. And it's good to have your guides on when you do these kind of things, because if I zoom back in again, you can see that all the boxes are lined up, all the text boxes, which means the copy will appear in the right line. So I've got my any other front page headlines I put in this page, I will line up with this catwalk dressing box using that left hand guideline there. I've chosen to pull the masthead further over because I wanted to stretch right across, but that doesn't mean I want to do that with this, and that's how we use the guides to help us lay out. So that's a dateline box, which is basically the same as a caption box. So if I go down and Control 0 to zoom right out, and I can see on this double page spread it still needs some work. This needs to be fixed, the spaces around this girl, and I also need to add captions. So I'm going to fix the spaces around the girl first, so I'm going to zoom right in because it's easier. And then I'm going to go on my top selection tool. I'm going to click on her, but it will just click on the text box because she's underneath. So I hold down Control and click again, and I can see there the edges of the picture box have appeared. I'm going to then double click on her, and as soon as I double click, I can see the pale blue lines around her, which are InDesign detecting the edges, which I need to change now because I have moved her. So to do that, I have to drop down onto my direct selection tool, the second arrow down, the white one, click on that, and then the points I can see to manipulate. So I'm going to take the points in around her head here because I think it's a bit too wide here now. Now we've moved her and the text columns are sitting differently. Things have changed. And this is what you do with InDesign. You chop and change as you go along, making decisions and then sometimes reversing them or just doing something different. It's all a bit of a learning curve and you have to practice. This is quite fiddly, but that's what InDesign is about. It is quite a fiddly business at times. I'm going to take it in here around her neck so the words come in a bit more. However, when I get down to her shoulder, they look a bit tight. So I'm going to pull those out a bit. Like that. It doesn't have to be exact, it just has to look right. It's not an exact science, this. It's about fiddling about with it until it looks right. And that's really what you need to get a bit of practice in for magazines, is fiddling about with InDesign and getting things to look how you want them to look. So I think even though the line is quite close to her arm here, I still think there's quite a lot of space. So I'm not really going to make any changes there. If I go up the other side, however, I think it's very tight. I think it's very tight down here. This is where I want to change it. And it's very gappy further down here. Here it's too gappy, and just above it, here it's too tight. So I'm going to pull all this out as much as I can to give myself a bit of gap. You need to have good eyesight to do this. It is quite fiddly. Now, any of you who know how to use InDesign will probably be looking at this saying, I wouldn't dream of doing that. I would just go into InDesign and do a full cutout and import the picture I would go into Photoshop and do a full cutout and then import the picture into InDesign, which of course you can do. And you can also do full cutouts in InDesign. But sometimes this can be quicker and easier than doing a full cutout, depending on how complicated the picture is. And it's just another way of doing it because you can get images that are already set on a white background. So I'm just going to keep fiddling here for a bit. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to just make sure it's all in here along those points. Now this isn't going to be perfect because I'm just showing you how it's done. If you want, you can spend ages doing this stuff, or as I say, you can use other programs such as Photoshop to help. But there's still quite a lot you can do with InDesign with images. It's not all, doesn't all have to be Photoshop to look good. So I'm pulling it all in here. So the copy is now quite close to the sides. Because now I've moved the picture, I would like the copy to run around the right hand side of her, whereas previously when it was closer to the edge of the page, I didn't want that. But now I do. So just pulling it all in here, like so. I don't want it too tight. That's a bit better. Okay, so now I have, if I Control 0, come off the picture, it's a bit better. It still needs some work. It's still too tight here, but you get the idea. That's what you do. You can see on this that the gap around the left-hand side of her is bigger than it is around the right. So I would need to go back in there and pull all of that out. However, I'm not going to, because it will just waste time on the tutorial. You can do things like that yourself when you want to. So the rest of the things that need to go on this page are captions. And also I need to fix this here because we can see that there's too much white space here. If I click on W, you can see that this has much more white space, this gap here at the top of this column, than this one. So I might decide, actually, I don't really like having text on the right hand side of that picture. I might decide to change it again. So I might go on my top selection tool and I might just pull it down like that. And that's a quick way of making it even. And I might put a caption there to fill up this space. I might go back on my guides, take her picture over a bit. Always make sure I'm fitting frame proportionally. And I might put a long caption here with a bit of space. So that might be how I do that because I don't like the text running down there. It's maybe a bit cluttered. I need a caption on this picture of the three women, and I need a caption on our cutout lady. So when I put my captions on, I can see that the last thing on the page I'm going to have to deal with is this little red box here, and I'm going to do that after I do my captions. So I'm going to draw a caption box first, very quick and easy. Go to your text tool, just draw it in the middle of the page so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to do a caption for these three women. I'm going to call it Summer Chic by Coco Chanel, even though I've no idea who it's by. Highlight all that text. Captions need to stand out from the rest of the body copy, so I'm going to make it 14 points, or maybe 13, just a point bigger. I'm also going to change it to Helvetica, which was the Dateline font, and I'm going to make it bold. And then I've got a caption here, and I can have it whatever shape I want. So I can have it that shape, and I can place it on top of the picture like that. And if I click off and click on W, that's how it will look. I can move it over to there if I want. I could have it at the top of the page, in the middle if I want. So it's up to me to decide where I want the caption to be. Or, as magazines tend to, which have a bit of white space, I could put my guides back on so I see exactly where I'm placing it. I could place it down the bottom of the page like this. I could pull it out so that it only goes over 2 lines. And I can have it right down here. It's a long way away from the picture it refers to, which is the one at the top. So how does the reader know whether this caption relates to this lady here on the right hand side or to the 3 women at the top? There's a few ways I can change that. I can change the caption to read Summer Chic 3 Ways by Coco Chanel. And the 3 ways is telling the reader that it's the picture with the 3 women in it. To be doubly sure, I can add Coco Chanel, comma, above. And that tells the reader that the caption is for the picture above. Again, when you're placing your captions, put your guides on with the W so you can see that the boxes are all lining up with the edge of the pages. So I can leave it down there if I want, or I could float it in the middle of the page if I wanted. See what that looks like. Or I could put it on the picture as I did. If I did, I would take the word above off because you don't need any direction when the caption is obviously attached to a picture. So I'm going to put it down the bottom in Sunday magazine-y kind of style and maintain a bit of white space above it. And that's that caption. So I need a caption for this girl up the top. So to do that, I already have a caption box drawn here in Helvetica Bold in 13 point. So I am going to hold down Alt and I'm going to click and drag, and that duplicates any object on the page. Pictures copy anything. If I hold down this picture, if I click on this picture here and I hold down Alt and drag, click and drag, it duplicates the picture. I've got 2 of them. Put my guides on and you can see that. Okay, I've got 2 of them. I'm just going to delete that. So that's the way to duplicate anything on the page, is just by holding down Alt on a PC or Option on a Mac and clicking and dragging. So I've got another caption here. So as you can see, this caption, it won't let me put it on top of this picture. And that's because this picture has got a text wrap around it, and the text wrap on it is interfering with the caption. So I may actually not need to bother, I can put the caption here and then that doesn't bother me. But if I did still want to put that caption on that page, and as you can see it won't let me, what I would do is while I'm clicked on the caption box, I would Control B or back to your text frame options, and there's a little box down the bottom that says ignore text wrap. If you click that and click OK, it will means that whatever object you have clicked on, which is the caption box in this case, you're telling InDesign that you don't want that particular box to pay any attention to the text wrap, and therefore the text wrap will still remain in place, but the caption won't be affected by it. So I could put it there if I wanted on that. I could put it there and leave white space at the side, which is what some people do. Or I can put it just right next to it. I need to change the caption so it says something relevant to the picture. Red is hot this season. Ooh, red is hot this season. Especially by, need another designer, I'm going to have to use Coco again because I can't think of any more now. Especially by, red is hot this season, especially by Coco Chanel. That tells you, by using the word red in the caption, I am directly relating to the picture. Also, I'm placing the caption right next to the picture, so it's obvious. But I might not want to do that. I might want to maintain the white space. I might want to pull this picture into the middle of those two columns actually, like this, so it sits like that, and put the caption sitting on top of it. I might want to do it like that. There are all different ways you can do it. I'm not saying any of these are right ways, they're just different ways to try. Remember, when you put a caption on a picture, take note of the background color of the picture. So if the picture is, in this case, I could push it down into the lighter part of the picture box, and the black stands out okay. But if I am to leave it right up the top, I might want to think about changing that caption color to white, because it stands out a bit more on that background. So there's two captions there. I now need a caption for this lady, and to do that I'm going to zoom into the bottom where I'm going to put it. So I think the best place for it is right down here in the corner. So I'm just going to move over, go on my top tool, hold down Alt, click and drag, duplicate my caption box, drag it over. I don't have to draw another caption box. Drag it over, put it here. As you can see, the text of the copy is running behind it, which means you can't read the caption and you lose the end of the text. So it's the same principle as the images. You need to put a wrap around the caption box. So I'm just going to do wrap around bounding box. It was on no text wrap, now it's on wrap around bounding box. That's fine. That's taken the copy around it, so it's not coming behind it. And I will change this caption to say something about black and white. Black, white and red is key look this season. So I'm just going to put my guides on so I know exactly where I'm doing it. And I'm going to move the caption box like that. And it's got a wraparound on it, so that means the copy doesn't go behind it. So now I've got my three captions on the page. If I click W, they stand out, the captions, as they should do. They don't look the same as the copy. They should be in a different font with more space and maybe a bit bigger, so we can see exactly what they are. Now, the last thing I need to deal with on this page is this little box down here. If you can see, I'll just zoom in on it. If you can see, the text box, this isn't the caption box, it's the whole body text box, has got a little red box with a plus in the middle. If you see that on the edge of any text box, it means you have overmatter. And overmatter means that the text box you have drawn is not big enough for the copy that you have put in it. We started out with the text box with the correct amount of text in it, but because we have since added pictures, made them bigger, put a line of white space in, because we've changed the design of the page, the copy now doesn't fit the box. And so what we need to do is make sure we deal with that overmatter, otherwise you will have just a sentence continuing that doesn't go anywhere. So we can do one of two things. If this feature is going to continue onto page 3, we can just click on the red box, and you can see when you click on it, it comes up with some text on the cursor which is telling you the overmatter. You can simply pull that over and click and drop it on the next page. And again, it's like it's another linked text box like the other two. And that's all the rest of the copy you can see that you've got to fit on the third page. So you will then start designing that page. Or I'm just going to go back. Or I can click on it and just drop it. If this feature wasn't continuing onto a third page and it was going to end here, I would just drop it on the side of the page like that, and therefore I can see how much copy I need to cut out. So I can read the copy and cut the bits until all of the text in this overmatter box has disappeared and the red square is gone and it all fits in the box. So it depends. If you're running onto the third page, just drop it on the third page. If you're not running onto a third page and you need to cut it out, you can expand it on the side of the page so you can see as you go through text and cut things out, it will jump up here and you'll be able to see when you're nearly at the end. So that's captions and overmatter. The last things we really need to deal with on these 3 pages are page numbers. We will do cutouts, but I will probably do them in class with you as they are easier to do with people than on screencast because they're quite fiddly, as you can see from this example here, which is just like a starting point to it. So the next tutorial will be on page numbers, and that might be it then. Okay.